Imagine this. It's 2017 and you're in the World Series. You're playing for the LA Dodgers against the Houston Astros. You and your team have been kind of practicing and working so hard to get here, and you put all your effort into each and every game, but you end up losing the series. I mean, if I was a player, I would be experiencing sadness, frustration, anger, and many other feelings, but I think I'll be able to come to terms with the loss when you think about it was a fair game and both teams just tried their hardest and that was the outcome. But what if it wasn't a fair game? That was the case. The Houston Astros were found to have cheated in their 2017 World Series run. And a quote from Justin Turner, a Dodgers pitcher, shows really what should happen. They shouldn't have their ring, sorry. A World Series championship is earned. And I agree with him. The Astros were not punished enough for their cheating. They should have their World Series title revoked. But to show why, I'm going to have to go over the history of sign stealing in MLB, how the Astros cheated, and why their punishment wasn't severe enough. The Astros sign stealing scandal was a shock to all, but sign stealing has existed in the MLB for a long time. Sign stealing in the MLB has existed all the way back in the 1899-1900 season, where the Phillies were caught cheating using binoculars and a buzzer system. Sports Illustrated writes, a backup catcher named Morgan Murphy watched the games at Baker Bowl in an observatory beyond the center field wall, where he stole signs with binoculars. Now, the Morgan Murphy would watch in this observatory with binoculars and press a button once that would cause a buzzer to vibrate in the dugout. He'd press the button once for a fastball, and then he would press it twice for an off-speed pitch. We see another case of sign stealing in MLB happen much later in 1959 Giants. Sports Illustrated writes that the Giants used a spy in the scoreboard to steal signs. And the very next year, the 1960 White Sox were caught cheating. Sports Illustrated writes, he quit in August because the White Sox stole signs from the center field scoreboard at Comiskey Park. And cheating was becoming so rampant, it was very hard to deal with. In the hidden language of baseball, Paul Dixon writes, sign stealing was becoming so sordid, so widespread, and such an embarrassment to the game that Major League Baseball even flirted with the idea of banning the practice during the winter of 1961 and 1962, but stopped short of drawing a clear line in the sand. So even way back then, there wasn't any serious punishment being dealt to these teams that were cheating. But even more recently, in 2017, the same year the Houston Astros cheated, the Red Sox were found cheating electronically. According to the New York Times, the commissioner's office then confronted the Red Sox, who admitted that their trainers had received signals from the video replay personnel and then relayed that information to Red Sox players, an operation that had been in place for at least several weeks. So we see that even more recently, there have been more cases of cheating in the MLB. And specifically, the Red Sox was very similar to how the Astros cheated. The Astros also used this video replay system. They had a camera in center field that was for the replay system they used to read signs from the catcher. Actually, according to the New York Times, Cora eventually arranged for a television monitor to be installed outside the Astros dugout with a center field camera feed on it for the players to watch. So their manager even installed this monitor for them to be able to read signs and relay them to the batters who were, dealing with it at the time. How would they relay that to the batter? Well, they had these trash cans, and they would beat on the trash can once for a fastball and then twice for off-speed pitch. Now, this whole, operation went on every time they were at home the whole season practically. And it wasn't really found out until much later when a pitcher from the Houston Astros, Mike Fears, exposed it all in an article with The Athletics, a very popular sports magazine. In this magazine interview, he kind of put it all on the table. He gave them every detail on how it was done, who was involved, everything. And it caused the MLB to launch a very widespread investigation into the Houston Astros 2017 season. And eventually, the MLB caught them. They were punished. But how were they punished? Well, according to SB Nation, executive Jeff Lunhow and manager AJ Hinch were suspended for the 2020 season, while the team was stripped of 4 draft picks and fined $5 million. And you may be thinking to yourself, that seems like a adequate punishment. I mean, 4 draft picks and $5 million, those are very detrimental to the team, and executive positions aren't easy to fill all the time. Well, I don't think so, and there are main reasons why. First being, no players were punished in this whole scandal. The Guardian writes, while Manfred concluded that replay of information was player-driven, none of them will be punished. So, I mean, the commissioner of the MLB, in his investigation, found that players were the ones really behind this whole scandal. I mean, how else would the players know? Oh, trash can hit once. Okay, fastball's coming. Like, the players had to kind of set this whole thing up, but not a single one of them was punished. So individually, I mean, that seems kind of weird, especially in the sense that other players will see this and realize, well, hey, they cheated all the way to a World Series and won, and get to keep it, get to keep the title. Oh, I might go do that. We need to set this precedent for the MLB and revoke their championship to show players that the MLB is not messing around. And this also hurts the integrity of baseball in the sense of fans. I mean, fans watching these players play the game and enjoying it. I mean, knowing that, or they're thinking that the game is, honest and true, and every team's just giving it their best shot. But really, you see this Astros cheating scandal, and you think, maybe other teams were cheating. I mean, we saw the Red Sox were cheating the same year. I don't know. Maybe all teams cheat. I don't know who's cheating and who's not. It becomes this big game of like, you can't tell what is true and what's not. To really set the record straight, we need to remove their 2017 title. This will show that MLB is not messing around and taking cheating way seriously. I mean, they had a punishment, yes, but as you can see, it doesn't really exemplify what the MLB stands for. Just good, honest baseball. And that's really what we need to get back to. When you look at the history of sign stealing, how the Astros did it, and why their punishment kind of wasn't enough, it's pretty obvious to come to the conclusion that the World Series title needs to be removed from them. I mean, because think about what Justin Turner said. Think of the emotions and what he was going through at the time when he found out that the Houston Astros were cheated. I mean, it would have been awful, but to kind of remedy that, taking away their World Series championship would solve these problems. Thank you.